Okay, one more of these guys. Okay. So on this one, I just put the highlights up here because you have the problem written down. So basically it's telling you that by the Pythagorean theorem, the hypotenuse of the triangle is going to be the square root of a squared plus b squared. Okay, so Pythagorean theorem there. Now in this case, we want to minimize the length of the hypotenuse. But they give you a constraint says that with a plus b equals 20. Now again here, what we want to look at, write two equations. So this time, do you see two equations? Boop, boop. Two equations, this time it's given to you. Now your teacher made a note about the fact that when you go to do this, you don't need the square root. Because let's look at it this way. If we minimize a squared plus b squared, if you take the square root of it, isn't that going to be minimized as well? So even though, yes, we want to minimize the hypotenuse, okay, we don't necessarily need to use the square root. So what the function that we can look at is hypotenuse, or in your case, your teacher is calling it f of a, b, like that. Doesn't matter which notation you use. But you can just use the a squared plus the b squared. You don't need to use the square root. Now in the end, if you're going to find the length of the hypotenuse, do you need to square root it? Yeah, because that's the formula for the hypotenuse. So I guess this is it should look more like this. There's hypotenuse with the square root. This is the function you're using, f of a, b, for equals a squared plus b squared, because that's not exactly the hypotenuse. Okay, so that's kind of a better way to think about it. So in the end, if you need the hypotenuse, you have to go back to that original equation, but that's for the later. So here's your first equation, and then your second equation is the a plus b equals 20. Now, remember what we're going to do. Two equations, we're going to use one to substitute into the other. So would it be easy to take this guy and maybe solve for a by going a equals 20 minus b? Okay. And then could we stick that right up into there? So we say 20 minus b. Don't forget that all needs to be squared. And then don't forget this plus b squared on the end. But do we have just one variable in there now, right? Just the b. So now we need to multiply that out. So FOIL that guy out, multiply this whole thing out, and then you're ready to go for the derivative and find the critical value. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with this one here. Okay, after doing the last one with the perimeter and area, you've got your setup, you're ready to keep going. Okay, all right, now again, remember what they're asking you for. If they want the length or the height of your triangle, you can give them that, the A or the B. And if they want the hypotenuse, you got to go all the way back to the original and stick it in there, okay? All righty, so that will be that. So give that one a try on your own. Okay, remember, you can always ask me questions.